Grandma, why do we celebrate Black History Month?
This is a time for highlighting the many and wonderful accomplishments and contributions that the African American people have made to the scientific, educational, and social justice, and have given to our country. All started by a historian educator known as Carter Godwin Woodson. He was born in 1875 and died in 1950. And he was a founder of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. All started with him.
But Grandma, in school the teacher told us that President number 38, which is President Growth Fourth, and decreed Black History Month a national observance in 1976.
The United States and Canada celebrate during the 1st of February through the 1st of March. Did you know that other parts of the world, like England and Netherlands, celebrate in the month of October?
Grandma, I heard the librarian talking about a book that was published by the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Let me see if I remember. Oh, okay, it goes this way. Red is the color of the blood which men must shed for their redemption and liberty. Black is the color of the noble and distinguished race to which we belong. Green is the luxuriant vegetation of our motherland.
Yes, noble words that reflect slavery that was covering our country, Canada and the Caribbean. Around the world it happens too. That's why a country like England and Netherlands decided to celebrate Black History Month by October. Come on, kids, let's go do an imaginary journey to those wonderful humans that make history.
J.K. Lawrence was a famous artist. Whatever he saw in his life, he drew, and he drew what he sees, and he drew the great African American migration, and his parents got into a divorce, and he went to a place where it took care of him, utopia, where he can just draw for free, and he painted what he liked, and that's all. We're drawing some of the arts of Jacob Lauren, and we're gonna draw them by Miss Kira. What we need to know, what we need to do.
My favorite basketball player is Earl Lloyd. He was the first African-American basketball player. He was drafted by the Washington Capitals.
My favorite player is Kevin Durant. He was drafted by Seattle Sonics, and he was MVP of 2014.
My favorite player of all time is Shaquille O'Neal. He was one of the best center of all times, and he was drafted by Orlando Magic.
I like LeBron James. He's best of all time.
My favorite player is Kobe Bryant. He's the second highest scorer of all time, and he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets.
In 1962, John Glenn became the first American astronaut to orbit the Earth. But this feat would not have been possible without the brilliant minds of 3 black women who were the brains of this mission.
Dorothy Vaughan went to Wilberforce University in 1929, a teacher who became a leading mathematical engineer in the first aerospace program with NACA, and the first African woman promoted to supervisor.
Catherine was handpicked to integrate West Virginia's graduate school. Catherine left her teaching job and enrolled in the graduate math program. Catherine provided some of the math for the 1959 document notes on space technology.
In 1958, she became NASA's first black woman engineer.
And in 1991, she was recruited by NASA.
In 1975, Mary Jackson became frustrated with the glass ceiling that limited female professionals, so she began working as Landry's Federal Women Program Manager, where she worked hard to impact the hiring and promotion of the next generation of NASA female mathematicians, engineers, and scientists.
Back when these women worked at NASA, they didn't have the technology we have today and had to do all the math by hand. To launch rockets now, women can use the technology to do virtual launches.
For Black History Month, we're going to be playing a game called Red Light, Green Light. Now you might be wondering what this game has to do with Black History Month. But it all makes sense when you meet Garrett Morgan. Garrett Morgan was an African-American inventor who created the three-position traffic signal. Other than the traffic signal, Garrett Morgan also created a breathing device in the form of a canvas hood. This would later be used to create today's modern gas mask. Morgan had witnessed a serious accident at an intersection, and he filed a patent for a traffic control device having a third warning.
Who doesn't like chips? It was George Crumb who was responsible for creating potato chips, as the customer he was serving at the time kept sending back his french fries for being too thick. Out of spite, he sliced the batch so thin they became crispy after being deep fried. They were then brought to the customer who actually enjoyed them, and thus one of the most popular snacks was born, the potato chips.
Something so insignificant as a cutter for biscuits might not be a big deal to us in the present, but during a time when biscuits were a staple on the dinner table, an invention like this ensures a consistently even batch each and every time. Let's make some biscuits, guys!
In 1935, Frederick Jones created the first portable refrigerator unit, making it possible to transport perishable items, including food, over long distance. His creation saw heavy use in World War II, not just for food, but for other perishables like medic supplies and blood packs.
Wallace Amos had an interest in cooking growing up with his aunt. He was especially interested in his aunt's chocolate chip cookie recipe. After a career in both the U.S. Air Force and then William Morris Agency, Amos attracted clients by sending them chocolate chip cookies along with an invitation to visit him. In 1975, a friend suggested to Amos that he set up a store to sell his cookies. And in March of that year, the first famous Amos cookie store opened in Los Angeles, California. He started the business with the help of a $25,000 loan from Marvin Gaye and Helen Reddy. The company began to expand, and eventually famous Amos chocolate chip cookies could be found on supermarket shelves across the United States.
Happy Black History Month! This is the month that we celebrate Black history. A long time ago, Americans decided that they needed workers to do the hard labor in plantations. It was kind of like a really big farm, and it stretched across the South. Some Americans were lazy, and they needed workers to do this big job. And because they thought blacks were worth less because of the color of their skin, they wanted them to do the hard work. Those same Americans saw an opportunity to make a great deal of money, buying and selling slaves. Not all Americans were bad though. Some did not think this was right. And to try and help the slaves escape, a group of people came up with a secret route called the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was not a real railroad, but it was a secret route. that helped slaves escape to freedom, the Free States. It was named this because those who traveled on the railroad seemed to disappear like if they were underground. These hiding places were little safe houses that provided tools, shelter, and food for those escaping. Something to note is that slaves back then were not able to get an education, so they were not able to read and write. Those trying to help them escape came up with a series of codes that had different meanings, which ultimately helped them escape. Now we are going to have some of the class explain what their codes mean.
This picture means that they need tools to build their home. You have to tell somebody to give them nice clothes. My picture means that they have to follow the north south to Canada.
This picture means that they had to follow the flying goose to Canada.
My picture means that a safe place for food and shelter.
I hope you learned a lot about Black History Month.
This is Sarah Boone and she invented the ironing board. I don't know how to swim. This is Barack Obama. He's the first black president.
Madam C.J. Walker, the first black millionaire.
This is Bill Russell and he has the most NBA championships.
Oprah Winfrey, the first black TV host. Athena Gibson, the first black woman to win a Grand Slam.
This is Rosa Parks, Mother of Freedom.
This is Edmund Berger. He invented the spark plug. Martin Luther King, civil rights activist. Robinson, first black person in Major League Baseball team.
Slavery forgotten that all humans are created equal, that the talents and squire that each one of us have is to complement our life needs. We are the world, the past, the present, and the future. And we all have to start to understand that we are one kind, the human race. A prophet once said, if we do not love each other, we do not love creation, and we are the best creation.